What's going on, everybody? My name is Dave. First, I just want to apologize if I'm a little bit awkward talking to a camera. I don't do it too often. This is going to be my first tutorial series. I hope you like it. Just bear with me at some points. I like to talk a lot, and I take a while to hit my point, I guess. I'm going to try really hard to keep it quick and talk as little as possible. Yeah, right. So first, I'm gonna talk a little bit about what we're gonna do, the concept and the theory behind some 3D spinning, and then we'll get right to it. The first thing is you have your flat planes, which you're probably quite familiar with. I found that when the spinners first start out, they will kind of spin without much concept of planes, and they're plane bending the whole time without even really realizing it. But we're covering plane shifting for now, and I'm going to explain the difference in a little bit. But as spinners start to get more techy, they start to get confined to wall plane, because that is where a lot of today's technical patterns are focused on, is single plane spinning. Personally, it's kind of confining. There's a whole lot that you can do in flat plane spinning, but it is a bit confining, and the overall goal for us object manipulators is complete freedom of movement, right? So if you want freedom of movement, you kind of need to include more than just one plane, because you have all of this space out here and all of this space in front that you could be exploring. So it's the ultimate goal, freedom of movement, and I'm going to teach you one other way of getting there. There's many ways to get there, I'll be completely honest, and not all of it actually forces you to use any planes whatsoever. You can just move completely freely. But if you like to assign method and purpose and precision to your movements and have it, basically if you're a tech spinner, this is for you. I'll just put it that way. The difference between 2D and 3D is we're tracing patterns, we're making patterns in wall plane, a lot of them recognizable, a lot of them just kind of they have illusion to it, or they have some sort of properties about the pattern that isn't necessarily a shape, but it's very interesting to watch, like a extension versus triquetra. While it does trace out a pattern, what really makes that particular movement special would be the where's my point? You have that they appear to be changing directions, and while the pendulum is changing directions, I mean, you can see what I mean here. It's a very interesting pattern to look at, but when traced out with a pen or a pencil on a piece of paper, isn't particularly amazing. But it's the concept that we're spinning in single planes and we're making these patterns, and they're very cool, regardless of the method of the pattern. But who's to say that we can't make our patterns three-dimensional? This is two-dimensional. You can draw it on a piece of paper quite easily. Something in 3 dimensions giving your patterns depth. Comes forward and then it goes back, it goes up and then back into wall plane. It adds a 3-dimensional image, which can be very, very interesting to look at. And from the spectator's point of view, it's very interesting. For your point of view, while the pattern itself may be interesting, it's also helping you get closer to achieving complete freedom of movement. You are bettering yourself as a poise spinner, becoming a lot more skilled, and just getting ever closer to that goal that nobody will ever reach. This is an endless journey, is it not? So I'm going to show you a little bit of the planes that we're going to be working with. By the way, I didn't make any of these pictures. I did edit the last one in Paint, but we'll get there in a bit. In this image, the red plane is the sagittal plane, also known as the buzzsaw plane. The blue plane is the coronal plane, also known as the wall plane. And the green plane is the transverse plane, also known as floor plane, ceiling plane, horizontal, whatever you want to call it. For what we're doing right now, what I want you to do is imagine that the horizontal plane is a little higher, like at shoulder level. Now, there are two ways I know of that help making think about this easier. One popular one is thinking in XYZ axes. The end of each line represents a stall point or a 0 point. These are crucial for 3D spinning. Some use the axis to describe the planes by making a relationship between any two of these lines. For example, if you drew a line between positive x and positive y, and from positive y to negative x, and so on, you'll illustrate wall plane, or xy plane. This image next will clearly explain what I'm talking about. Another way to think about this, and my personal favorite, is in cubes. This was brought to my attention by a spinner named Harrison Watson. He's a close friend of mine. I like it better because it includes the outer planes of the cube, as well as 8 extra stall points around on the corners of the larger cube. Cubes also help visualize the planes that you're using, and it can be evenly sliced into diagonals to include your diagonal planes. And lastly, if you can imagine adjacent cubes, it would allow less stationary spinners to transition between cubes, and to really just kind of move between cubes in a larger grid while utilizing the planes within the cube that you're currently standing in. So I really like that concept. Just for ease, I added in the red dots here to show the stall points that the XYZ axis would show, and I even added the XYZ on there, so just to better represent the relationship between the two. So now that I covered a little bit of the theory and used some visuals to help with the conceptualizing, we're going to get on to the tutorial that I filmed prior to this. Thank you. I just remembered, before I continue, I want to show you this really cool lighter that I found. You see that? What does that look like to you? Does that not look like poi geometry to you? Yeah, I like it. You don't have to, but I don't really care.